Hi guys, welcome to episode 5 of the Life and Fight of a Podcast. You've got myself, Simon, and my co-host, Jake. So how you getting on, Jake? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy week. Been busy. I've been doing UKFC MMA fighter videos and interviews for the page, the podcast, UK Fighting Championships. Just trying to keep busy. Turned 30 midweek, which isn't the best in lockdown, but
Happy birthday, though.
Dude. Trying to keep as busy and as active mentally as possible. What about yourself?
Same really. Sort of been busy with my sort of classes online for Hive. Very much similar to you, keeping active, keeping busy, and just trying not to get glued to the TV, to be honest, all week. I've tried to implement a rule now where I don't actually watch any TV until the evening.
Nice.
And that sort of helped with my productivity, really. So I'm quite happy with that.
Amazing. So, with the classes, then, how have they been going? Are they still going strong with you guys on the team there? What's going on there?
Yeah, so we've got like a range of mobility classes, fitness classes. We've also got some match analysis stuff and some sort of skill session where we sort of look at positions and isolate them and look at them in match scenarios, which is kind of as close as we can get to training jiu-jitsu at the time, unless you're living with somebody who trains. And they've been quite good, been quite popular, and everyone seems to be enjoying them. And this week we've got a quiz going on within the group as well, so I'll be expecting see you there hopefully as well.
Some banter going on. Yeah, sweet. That'll be good, that. So we'll touch on as many topics as we can about this week. We'll try and keep it as fun as possible. Do you want to start us off, Si?
Yeah, so it's something that you mentioned to me earlier. We've got quite a large announcement for some new sports that's coming up. But I'll let you start with this big announcement because it might be a little bit too much for me to handle.
Well, it's the return of sports in the UK. I found this out yesterday. Biggest sport you'll ever have. I don't mind it to watch, but it's darts, which is the craziest thing in the world. PDC have announced that the main big guys in darts, so Barry Hearn and stuff, have announced that they're doing a 32-night league where they have each night 4 people in a round-robin format, and they play each other through the 32 days. I think it's like once every 8 days, live on their website. And I think the round-robin format of 4 is there's no crowd at all, but it's just literally them 4, I think the announcer and the person who reads out the scores. That is probably it, which would be very different than what people are used to if you do watch it. But at least it's something back on the TV or internet to watch, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I like about darts though is I'm not got to lie, it is the crowd. Like they make the matches, whether it's getting the high scores and they're absolutely going just mental for what's going on, or just sort of people watching, enjoying the match, to be honest.
Yeah, you see the costumes that they wear, the signs, the chants, even like the ring entrances, they proper get into it. That's what Barry Hearn's done very well. He's turned darts around. He's turned even like the 9-ball pool and Moscone Cup. That's quite popular. I've got tickets for that in London this December.
Nice.
He's trying to do his best with snooker. Snooker's still big, but I just don't think it'll be this shouty crowd like darts. I think snooker's obviously still going to be a bow tie, it's mini tucks and stuff like that. But darts is a fun thing. I think the crowd bring an extra factor, but I think if it's something to watch, I think it's on like 7:30 every evening for the next 32 nights. So even if you miss one, you can catch up. You've got what's the lady called that's on it? That she's won the first match. Can't think of her name off the top of my head, so apologise. She's on night 4. I read that yesterday. So she got a card for advancing. She won the first and second women's only matches against men in the World Championships this year. So she got a tour card. So that'll be cool.
Should be quite good. It seems similar to what they're doing with the NBA at the moment, doesn't it? Where they're sort of having the athletes play horse via video chat. So like one of them will take a shot. They'd be like, okay, bounce, spin, 3-point line, like get the shot in, and it's sort of they've kind of got a match their opponent's shots. I think all the videos are up on YouTube, and they've got through to the finals now as well.
Nice.
But, it seems like it's been quite an entertaining time, and they've adapted quite well. Like, it's there's things out there that they can do remotely to keep some sort of sport going, and I quite like how they've managed to do that with some of the sports.
Yeah, I feel like, especially these NBA players who get paid a ridiculous amount of money. Like, you think the Premier League players are paid well. The NBA, the NFL, they're paid ridiculous amount of money, and sponsorships as well. It's a massive thing over there in baseball. They probably got built-in basketball courts in their place anyway, so it's easy for them to play rather than, you say, like people shooting hoops outside the garage or whatever. It won't be any of that. I guarantee it. It will be an indoor basketball court or an outdoor basketball court. Because when you say like a three-pointer, obviously it's a certain distance away, and obviously like a semicircle. They're not going to measure that out in a body outside a garage. They've got literally every equipment you can imagine. They probably hired in brand new bouncier balls and everything.
To be honest, it'd be interesting to see like there's some sort of dunk contest as well. Because during the big weekend that they have, I think the dunk contest there is quite popular. So it will be quite interesting to see if they can bring some sort of dunk contest into this online format they've got.
Yeah, definitely. The lady in the darts, so I just want to make sure Fallon Sherrock. I just wanted to Google it really quickly.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So, yeah, she's on night 4. Yeah, I feel like there's things are starting to creep back into people. People are starting to be more creative with what they've got with the time. Like I say, horse is one of them. The darts have done this. Next weekend is in America. They've got, starting Thursday, they've got the NFL draft, which will all be done online from what I've read. I've only just started getting into that as a sport, just something else to keep my mind occupied, research, stuff like that. So that's 3 days, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. So that'll be the Americans glued to their TV for 3 days. And then Saturday, that brings us on to the return of Submission Underground. What's your thoughts on that?
It does, yeah. I'm not quite sure. Like, I'm excited that there's, again, some new sport going on. But I'm not too sure on like how they're doing it. Like, yeah, we've got the Magalhães and the Craig Jones match. I'd like it to be more than 5 minutes, but these are 5-minute matches.
Oh, really? So it's being announced as a 5-minute match?
Yeah, from what I understand, they've got 5-minute matches for these, which I'd much sooner have longer matches at a later date.
Especially this sort of match, well, Magalhães and Jones. One thing that confused me, what's the thought, if it is 5 minutes, what's the thought process behind that? Because what they're trying to say that COVID-19 can't spread if you only roll with each other for 5 minutes or less. Once you've rolled with each other and you breathe in each other's faces and the droplets are in each other, you've either got it or you haven't. So 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 1 minute, it's not going to make a difference. So I would like to look into why they're even doing that. Yeah,
like I would much sooner they had longer matches, like even just at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a minimum that's at this sort of level.
Yeah, especially for these two, because like Magalhães did a good job of shutting down Gordon Ryan on his leg attacks. So it's a really good matchup, this. And like I said, Craig Jones has been spending a lot of time in the blue basement. So it does bring up quite an interesting matchup, and I'm excited for some live sport, especially with it being grappling.
Yeah, at the bottom of it says streaming live on UFCFightPass.com. Sign up now. I think, especially if you're into this, like Flow Grappling, Fight Pass, Dewey Network, Netflix. If you're into this sort of thing, the Fight Pass is brilliant. You can go back to old archives. They've still got live sport going on, especially with this coming up. So yeah, definitely worth it.
Oh, it's definitely it's £6 a month. So it's
something like that. I pay yearly, so it works out a bit cheaper. So mine actually came out this week for the year. It's like £50 or something. But then I don't have to think about it for the year then. Something that I did 5-6 years ago when it first came out, and I always forget about it until I look at my bank every April. I'm like, yeah, that's gone out.
So like sometimes you like the big yearly ones because you're sort of like, yeah, save a bit of money here, but then you forget that you've got it recurring, and then the month comes around, you're going, oh shit,
that's why
I forgot I had that coming out. But no, I am quite interested.
anything else on the card?
Yeah, they've got quite a few others on there. So they've got Richie Martinez, which should be quite an interesting match.
10th Planet, is that right?
Yeah, I really enjoy watching his matches. Got Jake Ellenberger on there as well.
Wow, I've not heard that name in a long time.
No, same. So it'll be quite interesting to sort of see. And to be honest, it's always interesting watching these cards because those that are on the undercards always seem to put on a great show because they're trying to climb up the card to become the poster boys. So just like any other show like this, the undercards always want to watch, and I will be keeping an eye out for it, and I will be sort of watching the sort of like the live stream if I can stay up for it. I've become a proper like early sleeper since all this has kicked off. But
so that's 6 p.m. Eastern start, so that'll be 11 p.m. For us in the UK.
Yeah,
5-hour difference from East. So if it's Eastern, I presume it's still in Chicago. That's his base in it for Sony. That's Chicago's his. Or is it Ohio? What I say, Chicago?
Oh, I might be wrong. Not too sure.
But anyway, it'll be on 11 p.m. Starting that card, and then obviously build up to this main event, which Magalhães Jones recently did the last submission underground. The one before that was a tag team match, and Jones didn't even get in the match because he had the flu and stuff, but he was still part of it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to at least something to watch in April 26th.
Yeah.
We was all looking forward to UFC 249 until that got cancelled. That was supposed to be tomorrow. So I guess we start today with darts. That keeps us going for a few days if you want some sport, and then you lead up to in 8 days the NFL draft and then this. So I guess it's starting to come back to normality. I know the American senior medical advisors turned around and said that if sport wants to resume, it'll have to be crowdless for quite a while. So I can see certain sports now going back into training camp, now going back into quarantine lockdown, where they probably won't even see the family for quite a while, where I think, especially with English Football League right now and the Premier League, they've turned around and said it'll take, especially the Championship, 56 days to complete their season. So that includes the playoffs, so getting into the Premier League or relegation. So if they went into lockdown themselves now, so they went into a camp, and you got to think no one can have the virus, because if anyone's got the virus and then they do a 21-day camp and then it's spreading, that team's gone, and then that messes up the whole league. That's what I'm predicting. So you'd have to make sure everyone's well. So you isolate for 21 days, the players at their own home. Then they leave the isolation. They go into a lockdown with the team. Then there's a training camp with that, because they'll need 2 or 3 weeks to get back to full fitness. And then there's 56 days. So what's that? Nearly 9 weeks, 8 to 9 weeks of playing.
So if I'm honest, that's quite a lot to ask though from the athletes.
Yeah, a lot of them only got saying that if you've got a 3-year contract and you're not thinking about what the end of this year, but a lot of contracts only run to June 30th, and that's in 10 weeks, and you've got to fit all that in. Because you could talk about extending. Do they get the same pay? Is the an argument they want to be paid more if you want to keep him? Is the an argument that they want to pay less to keep him because they haven't got anywhere else to go?
Also, do they get danger money? Are they going to spend more money on the medical clearances? Are they going to
insurance? Yeah.
Are they going to want to bring the athletes' families with them? Because being 9 weeks away from your family, that's going to play havoc on your mind.
Yeah, bringing the wags. And what would you call them? Cags, kids and girlfriends.
Yeah, just like bringing the partners, bringing the families with them, because I'd imagine that after a game where you've no crowd there, it might not have gone to how you planned. The last thing you want to do is go back to your teammates. You want to just go back to your partner and spend a bit of time with them and just forget about it, don't you, really?
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult situation, because I think a lot of them just want to play, just want to get back to some sort of normality. And I think a lot of football fans would be accepting that it's no crowd. It's not the worst thing in the world, no crowd in a football. Obviously, it is what makes football in a way, but it's not. I don't think it's as important as the darts aspect, because the BT Sport and Sky and ITV and BBC, I think if they streamed all the games, which is the plan, from now until the end. Literally, so you would have, if it's a Premier League, 10 games every week for the remaining 9, 10 that's available, maybe 11 with some of them. I think you could do quite well. I think, so say for instance, you had someone monitoring the social media and you had a column on your right-hand side, which had the fans chanting or whatever. I think that could be a good little addition. Because I wouldn't ever have someone's voices, because obviously when you get a bit passionate, there's swearing and profanities, and you don't want to hear that on live TV, especially if kids are watching that or growing up loving the sport. You don't want to put that in front of them.
No, definitely not. But it'd be interesting to see if it does pan out, and also the sort of legality behind it. Because at the end of the day, would they be contractually bound to play in the games? Because would the contract cover this kind of thing?
Has a great point. Like, Wayne Rooney's come out and said, I'm not putting my family in this position. Like, someone like him, does he, if he doesn't agree to play, did Derby have to pay him? How does it work that way? Because has he got to play? I guess if they did lockdown versions, like you don't see your family for that period, do they get paid more for not seeing your family? It's like basically football Big Brother or any sport Big Brother, because you're locked down with just that circle of people.
I think that's going to be a bit more. I think that's going to be too much high risk, to be honest, for the players, because again, mentally, I think they'd struggle.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine being stuck in a house with 30 of your mates for 9 weeks? At the start, it'll be interesting, it'll be fun, it'll be great. But 2 or 3 weeks in, there'll be a lot of
there is some childish footballers, and I know there'll be a lot of people thinking about this. God, they're paid a ridiculous amount of money in the Premier League, and I completely agree with that. The what they paid is ridiculous, and there needs to be some sort of cap. But I think it's past that, especially in world football. But it's still mentally, no matter how much you pay in the world, you see the richest people in the world, unfortunately, take their own life because stuff gets to them. The people on the outside that look like they're in the best position, like Robin Williams, one of the funniest guys you'll ever be, one of the best actors in the world. And then obviously you had the lead singer of Linkin Park, look like the best, most normal guy in the world, fun guy, family. And then, so no matter whether you paid the most or whether you're not paid anything, and obviously that can be mentally an impact as well.
Yeah.
The mental side, especially what we're finding during lockdown, you technically only got yourself and maybe your partner, maybe your parent, whatever. It's still, you're in your own head, you're getting bored, you start to worry about money, you start to worry about your friends, your family. You're used to just being normal, where you do normal things, and thinking in your own head is a rarity. Maybe when you're going to sleep, maybe when you're having a shower, but it's a few minutes a day.
Yeah. And I think that's, if they were to do that, I think they would have to bring in a professional team that are going to help deal with the mental health aspect of the athletes. But then, like, where do you draw the line with it? Like, are we going to risk putting these athletes' lives or mental health at risk for our own entertainment? Which is essentially what we're doing. We're asking them to risk their mental health, their also physical health, for a sport or entertainment.
The only team that would argue with you right now is Liverpool, because they want that league. They want that league. And as I'm a United fan, so the last thing I want is Liverpool to win the league. But on a sport and a football fan point of view, they deserve it. If you're in the league, just give them the trophy. They've destroyed it. They've even been the best team probably for 2 years in those City scrapes last year, because there's 2 years before that, over the overlap, City were the best team by far. But Liverpool this year, especially in the last 2 years, won the Champions League. Before that, the Champions League final. They top of the league, ridiculous amount of points, dominated everyone. Could have took the record on points. If you don't give it them, it's a travesty. But then on the flip side, if you give it them the trophy, do you then relegate the bottom three because they could still get out? Then there's a legal factor of all that. There's so many things in sports. I know the grassroots, they've cancelled all them. I think from the national conference down, so they're arguing. Yeah. I've got a friend that manages within Shaw Football Club, so they're like 10th or 12th tier down or whatever it is, and they were literally close to winning the league or promotion. there's so much to think about. It's not just straightforward as.
No, I think if they were to do it, they probably would have to, like, across the board have the same ruling. So it's sort of a non-biased thing of, okay, we're either going to continue the league and it's going to continue from September when everything's safer and we've got a better understanding of what's going on, and we'll just have a delayed league after that to sort of maybe shorten the gap in between each league just so it balances out over the next couple of years.
Well, that's what they were talking about doing anyway, because next in 2 years is the World Cup in Qatar. So it's not going to be in the summer that we're used to. It's over Christmas. So the final is the 18th of December, 2022. So normally we're used to like 9th, 10th, 11th of July or something along those lines. But because it's that hot in Qatar, they had to move it to winter. So it's like still boiling, but it's not as bad. So the plan was, I think it's starting this year, that they were going to move it to like the earliest in August they could. So they finish, I think it's like June 1st, June 2nd. Then they have 8 weeks off. It was supposed to be the Euros this year anyway, from like mid-June to mid-July. Then be straight back into action in August. And then next year, maybe end of July. And then obviously now you've got that next year. You've got the Qatar the year after. It's, to me, just don't do football. Do it, like you say, September, October, November. Finish it, then do the season in the calendar year of 2021. The same in 2022. You have Qatar, you have a bit of a longer break, and then you just extend the league over a year and a bit, and then you're back to normal for 2023, 2024. But that's just football. There's so many different factors. Women football, the MLS is different season. It's interesting. No, it's not just news and when it's up, like when lockdown's lifted, is it? It's
no.
Everything, the domino effect after that, when you can open your gym and I can run my events. It's, do you do it as soon as lockdown? So say lockdown was finished tomorrow, even though we know it's extended for 3 weeks. Is it tomorrow? Yeah. Do you start that day or do you wait a couple of weeks? There's so much more to go into it politics-wise.
There's no plan. There's been no direction of how we're going to sort of roll out of this lockdown. Like, I'm itching to train and roll and compete and do something other than stay in the house.
Every month that goes by, Simon, you're losing that belt, so you're now like a blue belt now.
Do you know what? I'm just going to get a load of acai and I'll boost my jiu-jitsu powers and I'll start saying os to everyone and start doing all this.
The people watching or listening to this that do that are going, you little fucker.
There'll be so many people triggered right now going, os, professor, I won't say it again. And I'm like, no. But speaking of sort of like jiu-jitsu a bit and a grappling there, we've had a bit of sort of good news and a bit of sad news in the sort of scene this week with Hodgie Gracie.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he actually contracted the virus. Unfortunately, he has come out of it, but he said that he was out for 10 days. Like, he didn't mention it in his Flow Grappling interview, but he said that he was nearly at the point of going to hospital, which for a bloke who's
the best in the world,
and he fits into the category of the people that think I won't get it, it won't affect me. And for a 38-year-old strong athletic person to get to that level, it kind of reasserts how serious sort of this virus is. And
like you say about Roger, there's probably names out there that we don't even know about, so I don't want to upset anyone. So there's people that we know that have lost family members and friends because of this, or are now in serious intensive care. So our thoughts do go out to them. But you are right; it's humbling, it's daunting. I've said weeks ago I was naive as hell. I thought it was just a media thing. Didn't think it would be serious. Just like when they did Ebola and SARS 10 odd years ago, and obviously a few years ago with SARS, it never came over here. So you just think, oh, it's just another one. It's not going to affect us. We're a world leading country. Like, we're prepped for this. We're fucking not.
No.
Like, never would you expect in our lifetime to be away from your friends and your family for this one. Never mind not training or anything like that, like not seeing your parents or your cousins or people that you love and your close friends and stuff. And then it goes on to your mindset of training. So anyone that is affected by this listening, or if you know anyone, it's just thoughts with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Second that. Thoughts go out to anyone who's been affected by this, friends, family. And yeah, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Like,
yes,
it's
stay strong, stay sane.
Yes, definitely stay sane. Like we mentioned in earlier episodes, try use this time productively if we can. Like I've mentioned to Jake before, like I've been trying to improve my sleep, trying to improve my daily routine. So it's try adding little things in there that do help you keep sane and build a better routine for when we actually do get to come out of this.
Yeah, like I say about staying sane and stuff, obviously I spoke to you about it this week, so you know a bit about it. I lost my cat last week, which anyone that has pets, it's the worst thing in the world. She was involved in an accident chasing a bird, which she loved doing, just one of them things, but it hit me, and especially when it's hard to keep sane anyway and keep mentally strong. For a few days, I was in a bad way because I lost another cat a couple of years ago who was ran over, and that hit me hard as well. But I had the normality of keeping busy, training, going to work, had friends around me, keep taking me out, keeping me busy, stuff like that. So that was very difficult. So yeah, my baby Layla's gone, but she'll never be forgotten. I've got something being made for her in a memory. But I know you're a lover of pets. You've had cats in the past, and I know that's hit you hard. So keep your pets close, guys, because they are like family. They are like your babies. They are like your kids, and I don't wish that on anyone.
No, not at all. Not at all. But off the back of sort of everything that's been affected by the virus, you mentioned that the WWE have had a lot of releases.
Yeah, so I'll bring this up really quickly on the share screen for people that are watching. So people know I'm a big wrestling fan. So when this news hit, actually on my birthday on the 15th, some big names were released, especially if you do watch it. So everyone that knows the sport, even a little bit, knows who Kurt Angle is. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but he does. I think he retired. I think it may have been last year or the year before, but he had been doing like legend deals and TV stuff for the WWE Network. But they did a call in the morning where they said that they were going to release a few people. And normally around April, they do release a handful of people. It's normally the end of contracts after WrestleMania. But this wasn't a wave. This was a tsunami of people. And you can see on the screen. So you had Kurt Angle, you had Rusev. And if you don't know Rusev, he's a Bulgarian wrestler who's come over to America. He's now an American citizen. He's met his wife through this Lana. They're recently doing a storyline with her where they split up, but they're not in real life. So she's still signed. He's gone. But he's one of the only wrestlers as of the last sort of 5 years that got himself over. And if you don't know what that means, that's like purposely got himself a fan favorite. So you can see on his t-shirt there, Rusev Day. The joke was that every day was Rusev Day, and it got that popular where the WWE then had to start selling calendars, WWE trademarked calendars, that Rusev Day was on every single day, 365 days a year, and they couldn't supply the demand. That's how over he was. But the powers that be just didn't want to push him. The most he got was like a US title, maybe a tag team title, if I remember rightly, throughout the years. So he's gone. I'll see his real name's Miroslav Barnyashev. I think he'll be picked up by another organisation, maybe not as soon as other people may like. There's rumours that they don't have a 90-day non-compete clause. There is other organisations out there that will want to sign someone like him. But if WWE are going through this and have to do this because of monetary information and how they're making losses because of the virus, smaller organisations are not going to be able to do it, no matter if you've got a billionaire dad like AEW and the Tony Khans of the world. But you've got Drake Maverick, who's from England, who's a small guy who would never expect to be a wrestler, but he's on the mic is amazing. And one thing that I'll show how it impacts you, I'll show you his video we put on Twitter shortly. Zack Ryder, another person like Rusev, got himself over, won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania like 5 years ago. Could not be more over. You've got Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. they were in the Undertaker, part of the Undertaker match at WrestleMania 10 days ago. So that was a shock. Then you've got long-standing people like Mike Chioda. He was a ring announcer. Leo Rush, he was Cruiserweight champion 4 months ago. I think a lot of these, though, will be would have requested the relief, especially someone like Rusev. I'll click on the next page. So you've got, there's the list of them. EC3, crazy individual. Eric Young, Heath Slater, been with the company about 15 years, like Zack Ryder. Then you've got, let's say, Kurt Angle. Then you move on to sort of like the back room, so like the agents and the story writers, Billy Kidman, Fit Finlay, Devara, Scott Armstrong was a referee, Shane Helms, which is Hurricane Helms, if you've ever heard him, Lance Storm, Aiden English, who's married to Eddie Guerrero's daughter. It's crazy. It has gone literally mental. But I'll pull up this video now because it is quite sad to listen to. It's a couple of minutes, so if you just watch. Oh, 1 second, guys.
So I just got off the phone with...
Can you hear that, dude?
Yeah.
So I just got off the phone with WWE Talent Relations' Mark Carano, that has told me that as of today, I've been released from my WWE contract due to the current climate. What's going on in the world? I'm like everybody else, where I probably didn't take this as seriously as it is at the beginning, but affecting people's lives, it's affecting people's jobs, it's affecting the way people make a living. I'm very fortunate that WWE is still allowing me to compete in the NXT Interim Cruiserweight title tournament, but it's very likely that those will be the last matches I ever have.
Oh wow.
There's a lot of people I'm not going to get a chance to say goodbye to that I really loved and I really cared about. Person. And again, I'm very fortunate that I still get that. Other people won't get that. But if these are the last 3 matches I have, I just want everybody watching at home to know that you'll have my all. You'll have everything. It's not about a title anymore. It's about my life. It's about feeding my family, paying my bills. So if I don't make an impression, if I don't win, that's it for me. So I just want everybody to know that you're all going to get everything I have.
So that is quite a sad video, and people will watch that aren't wrestling fans and go, "Oh, it's predetermined anyway, and it's fake, and it's kayfabe and whatever." But it's people's lives at the end of the day, and obviously he's released that, and he's tagged his bosses in like Shawn Michaels and Triple H in NXT, and he was Cruiserweight, so 205 Live general manager. So he works with like our friend in Jack Gallagher that we know. So I'm relieved that Jack's not one of them, because he's one of the best characters on the roster right now, and he's completely changed his image. I don't know if you've seen his image recently. He's got a full tattoo on his front, shaven head. He's turned heel.
Oh wow!
With Drake Maverick, or if people might know him as Rockstar Spud from Impact Wrestling, he's still kept in character, because I'm 99% sure that the matches he's referred to, that are his next 3 matches, he's already filmed them. He's already been part of it. He knows he's not going to win the belt. If you're going to get released, you're not going to win the belt, especially when the recent champion's been released as well. So basically, with the Cruiserweight Championship right now, an Irishman is the champion, and he's over here, so he can't travel to America to defend it. So for the first time ever in WWE history that I'm aware of, they're doing an interim title, which is more of a UFC thing. So they're doing 2 4-man groups, a bit like the darts are doing, round robin. The top 2 go into the final, and they have the interim title until the champion can come back over from Ireland. he was part of that. He was announced a part of that only on Friday, and then 6 days later, he's released. It's his livelihood. Does he have a 90-day non-compete clause? Who's going to sign him? He's part of the biggest company in the world. He's hit the top of his level. What he's ever going to get to. It is sad. It is unfortunate, and it just shows that this is affecting even the biggest companies in the world. And they are millionaires that run this, but they've got to look at the longevity of it, I guess.
No, of course. They've got to protect the business at the end of the day. Hopefully, Drake, Maverick, and the other wrestlers that are dropped do find something. Maybe even get re-signed once all this is over. Like, that possibility is potentially still there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, especially when I've had when you've noticed past releases, like you had Drew McIntyre's released around 7 years ago. He was part of a thing called 3MB, three-man band, with Heath Slater, who's just been released. He was with Jinder Mahal as well. They were the jokes of the company. And even Drew's come out in an interview recently and said that Brock Lesnar said to him 7 years ago when he did a squash segment where Brock Lesnar walked through the three of him, he's like, why are you in this, Drew? Like, you're an animal. You're a big guy. You should be dominating this thing. But there was prior things that he annoyed the bosses, or his ex-wife annoyed the bosses that she used to work for the company, and he was put down because of that. He was buried. Then he was released, and then he reinvented himself. He came back bigger, stronger. Now he's world champion. He beat Brock Lesnar 10 days ago, and it's like come full circle. So you do get the chance to come back. Just reinvent yourself. Make the WWE want you. Reinvent your character. A few people have done that. A few people have done that, come back and still failed. Well, not failed. That's a wrong word. That's quite a strong word, but just didn't make it.
They've not quite reached the level that they wanted to get back to.
Yeah, there's only ever one champion at a time, or maybe two in WWE if you depending on what roster you're on. But no matter what it is, if it's storyline orientated or not, you've still got to be that whole package to be number one, and then be the best in your sport and be paid the best and be fan favorite and whatever it is, like Stone Cold 20 years ago and The Rock 20 years ago and John Cena for the last 20 years and then Hulk Hogan before that and Ric Flair, Ultimate Warrior. I feel for them. I hope that they do land on their feet and do at least be able to feed their families and stuff. And yeah, it's not the best time, is it?
No, it's quite a difficult time, and hopefully they can sort of pull through this and, like I say, come back stronger when all this is happening, when all this is over. But off the back of that, we've heard Vince McMahon and a few other sort of sport bosses, one of them being Dana White as well, have been brought in to consult the president, really, aren't they?
So what we've been reading, I'll try and find something really quickly now. So Donald Trump wants to reboot the economy as soon as possible. And by doing that, he's brought in all the like major people around the economy in America, and then he's bringing in the top of this sports calendar as well, so the NBA, NFL, and he's even brought in the boss of the UFC in Dana White, because them two are close anyway. They've done stuff before, and then even Donald technically worked for Vince at one point. They've held WrestleManias at Trump Plaza. He did a storyline where he owned Monday Night Raw because Vince McMahon was suffering like money-wise years ago. So they've worked together for a long time. So it says here, US President Donald Trump has drafted in WWE boss Vince McMahon and UFC Supremo. I don't know why they use that word. This is the son for you. Dana White as advisors to help him restart the economy. The two power brokers are part of a large group of professional sporting heads who will come together to help America rise from the devastating impact caused by COVID-19 outbreak. I'll say that.
Like, you can respect his decision in bringing them in, as look at what Dana White did with UFC. So when he first got involved with that, it was in a lot of debt, probably valued at around, was it just over $1 million?
What was it? Sorry. Say that again.
When Dana White first got involved with UFC, it was valued around $1 million. Loads of debt.
Yeah, they literally bought, what was it, the letters and the cage. They didn't even own UFC.com. He had to fight for that. He's in a lot of debt.
And look at what it's achieved now. Like, it's sold to a massive media group. It's one of the most talked about sports in the world at the moment. And same with Vince McMahon with the WWE. Like, that's probably one of the longest standing sports entertainment companies around. And that is down to Vince McMahon and his partners. and same with the UFC and Dana White. Like
he was the guy, Vince, at first in the early 90s that seen that pay-per-view was the next big thing, and he moved to pay-per-view and dominated that, and a lot of sports followed it. Like back in the early 90s, especially in England, all the boxing was on like ITV. Like my dad remembers that the guys more that were on ITV that he could watch on normal TV for free. Like Lennox Lewis, when he first started, before he became a big Sky Sports name, he was on ITV. I think Nigel Bennett, remember, he got his name from ITV. So Vince was the pay-per-view guy, made that a massive thing. And then when he realised that was dying, he created the WWE Network, or at that time it was called 24/7. He's always been ahead of the game. He's always took 5 steps back to get 10 steps forward if he needed to. He's in the early 90s, you had the steroid use, which was part of like Hulk Hogan, all the big guys, and then he moved to smaller guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. He was always willing to take a big step back monetary-wise, just to go forward, because he's seen the big plan. And no matter what you think of Vince and wrestling, like I said earlier on, and Donald Trump and stuff, these are very smart people. They know how people think. They know how people work. They know how money works. And Dana as well, they turn it around. I guarantee the Fertittas are involved somehow, especially maybe as an advisor for Dana. It'd be interesting to see who else is involved in that list.
It won't surprise me. Who's the guy that owns one of the New York basketball teams? Mark.
Yeah, I'll probably, I don't know who he is, but I would agree that will be one of them. Stan Kroenke.
Mark Cuban, that's the one.
Mark Cuban, yes, I recognise that name.
I think he'll be probably brought in with this. And like I said, Donald Trump isn't, like, as much as he's an absolute plonker, like, I've not used that word in years, I think it suits him perfectly. But he's an absolute whopper. And
what are we getting downloads in Michigan? If they supported for Make America Great Again, we've just lost a viewer. I'm joking.
But, like, he's a very, very intelligent businessman. Like, we cannot discredit him for that. Like, he might not be the best president. He might say some very, very
controversial.
Some might say stupid things. But he knows money, and he knows how to make it. So
literally, he will make money if he has to, especially as a president now.
Anybody who's in the American stock market probably excited about this decision, as the stock market plummeted over the COVID-19 incident, and then American businesses, I think, are going to flourish after this part.
Yeah, I think Vince, he's pledged like certain amount of money towards something that Trump's doing to try and help him. If it's like 18.5 million, this is why people got annoyed about the releases. Whether that's true or not, I've not looked into it too in depth. What else was there? Vince, so was it like March 26th, I think it was. Florida said, you can't do it anymore, you've got to stop filming. And they were like, well, we've filmed up until the night after WrestleMania anyway, so we're fine. And then there was no outbreak for 14 days, or nothing to do with coronavirus within their little circle that they've been having for wrestlers. So I think they've got all over Trump and said, we need a wave, we need to be waived here, we need to start recording live again. So they've got a card which basically said that they can carry on recording. Which is the only thing in Florida that I think that's happening, which is mental.
You got to look at as well is, like, they're saying that everyone's upset with Vince McMahon for investing this money or pledging this money towards whatever's happening. But you also got to look at is he's pledging this money to, again, try and rebuild the economy. Now, if nobody can afford to pay for the pay-per-views, pay for tickets, pay for merchandise, there's going to be no wrestling at all. So it's either drop a few wrestlers, invest money over here to then rebuild the economy, and then at some point bring people back in if that's the decision, or not pledge, not work to try and rebuild the economy and potentially lose the business, and the American public, or just the public worldwide, are going to lose a chunk of their sports entertainment being wrestling. So you've got to look at the pros and cons of these decisions, especially when it's come from somebody who has built a business and, like you said, is willing to take a step back to make 5 steps forward.
Definitely long-term thing. Just on the website I'm on now, it's a list of things that have been sports that have been affected and stopped because of this. So you got the Olympics that's postponed to next year. Football, literally every league apart from, I think it's, what did I send you? The Belarusian league that's still going because the president's like, we'll just survive on vodka. So they're still going. They've still got fans going in attendance. The Copa America is postponed until next year. The Euros is postponed until next year.
Six Nations.
F1, they've had 10 Grand Prix cancelled. The tennis, Wimbledon's gone in July. The cricket's completely suspended. Rugby Union, Six Nations, that's gone. Rugby League suspended. Basketball suspended. Golf suspended, which you can play that as one person. You don't need anyone around you.
The crowd don't even make a difference at golf.
Yeah, that's that far away.
Just missing the applause.
What else you got? Cycling, horse racing, UFC, baseball, and ice hockey. Obviously, there'll be a lot more, but that's just a list that I'm looking from there. That's an amount of money that brings to the economy full stop in the whole world. Even like the betting side, I've seen people betting on the most randomest things in the world, like horse racing in, like, say, Qatar, or something random like that. It's a lot of things are affected.
No, definitely. It's quite a bizarre time still. Like, I'm still waking up in the morning and sat there going, right, I'll get up, have a brew. Oh, we've got a worldwide pandemic. Oh, okay. I still wake up like that. Like, I'm still in a bit of disbelief until I've had a brew and I'm like,
awake.
This is actually happening. But off the back of this sort of like negative, bad news sort of thing, I mentioned to you earlier that there's been a trailer released.
Let's watch this.
It's so for those of you in the jiu-jitsu community, there's a film that's been sort of teased with Nicolas Cage, and it is the jiu-jitsu trailer. Now, jiu-jitsu is a grappling art. Nicolas Cage is one of the greatest cult actors. And we've now got a jiu-jitsu film with Nicolas Cage. So this is the first time that me and Jake have actually seen this trailer. So we're going to get our live reaction and hopefully some funny commentary. So let's hit the play button and see what happens.
All of this to start our new life.
To exist.
It's like a couple of different things. I'm so confused.
I don't know.
This doesn't look right, mate. I think you've been duped here.
We've been rickrolled with that one. Well, that is a big letdown.
Someone has messed with your head. You should have watched that, Simon.
I'm blaming Eastern Europe. That's on the BJJ Eastern Europe website. No, I'm not having that.
When you said Nicolas Cage, I thought, there's rumours that Nicolas Cage is doing a film of Nicolas Cage. I think that would have been a better trailer.
It probably would have been. Like, let's have a quick Google, see if we can find something else. But no, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. But also, we didn't sort of notice before, but there is footage. Do you know we mentioned about Anthony Smith's home invasion?
Oh, yeah.
There's actually been footage released from this home invasion. I've not got around to watching it yet, and I think this is actual genuine footage here. But I'm going to go to...
Oh, I've seen this, where he's at the door.
Yes, that one, yeah. So for those that don't know what we're talking about, Anthony Smith, UFC light heavyweight, had a home invasion recently, and what we're showing here is basically...
The video from doorbell, wasn't it?
Yes.
This kid is definitely on something.
Wow.
Typically when people break in your house, it's during the day when you're not home. So at nighttime, usually it's because people want to
That
do something
was
to you. They want to
absolutely
hurt you. They have something, whether it's
what? It's almost like he's gone trick or treating at the guy's door, and he's turned up with fruit. he's like, and he's like, "I don't want fruit. I don't want fruit." Get out now! Give me candy. Give me sweets.
Wow, and like you said last week, he's apparently was a high level NCAA wrestler. So if it wasn't someone like Anthony Smith that was in the house, he could have done some damage, especially if he was on some sort of under the influence or something.
Oh, 100%.
Which
and
is
also,
quite scary.
If the owner would have been quite scared and would have had a firearm, like a gun with them,
good point in America,
he could have actually lost his life.
Wow. If there's anything that you people that are listening, watching, that you want us to view live that we've not seen, or have our reactions, or want to share, send it in to us.
Send it in.
We want to do more of these sort of reactions. Just
we'll get them tabbed up, and you'll get live reactions.
Yeah, not like the Nicolas Cage Jiu-Jitsu video, Simon.
That's my bad. I should have watched that, but I wanted to have my first reaction at the same time as yours.
Right thought process, just
wrong video.
Is there anything you want to finish on, Simon, before we finish up?
No, like the only thing I'd probably want to touch on is MVR's got their line dropping today.
Nice.
Version 2, the really, really nice gear, and they've got it set so that if whenever any of my guys purchase it, it comes with the Hive logo. So I'm quite happy with that, and the equipment looks really nice, and it fit the equipment. The gear looks really nice, and it fits really nicely.
The equipment fits.
The equipment fits, you know.
Yeah, I'd probably the same with my guys, Progress and Barefoot. They've got some stuff at Fighters Market, doing some good sales at the minute, and I think like you say, MVRs as well. So even if you can't train, get the stuff ready for when you can train. There's some great gear coming up from these places.
Like I say, the hoodies, the leisure wear, like it's all comfy, and it's all really good quality gear as well, like from Progress and MVR. So
sweet. I think that's it. I think, shout out to our sponsors. Thank you for everyone that's been watching and listening so far. This is episode 5 in 2 weeks. Thank you for the support as well for the UKFC MMA editions we've been doing. Got some good views on them. The fighters themselves, especially going through lockdown, that's an interesting point of view, and especially going through their career. So I've got a few more that'll be tuned out over the next few days. But yeah, if there's any guests that you want on, anyone you want to see, I think we've got Cam next week.
Hopefully getting Cam in for the next episode, and we've got a few more lined up over the coming weeks, which will be quite interesting.
So we don't just want to base this around MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. Like we want to broaden it as much as possible. Like we're looking at some music guests. We will be doing, or I'll be doing anyway, a side thing just solely on wrestling, because you don't want to hear me talking about it every week, especially if you don't like it. So you can choose to just listen to the wrestling side. That'll be in due course. So we will touch on it slightly every now and then. I know it's quite a big addition for this one, but it's what's going on, especially what me and Simon are into in the sport. So yeah, any guests that you want on, that'll be really cool to find out what people's thoughts are. And
if you're in the sport or sort of have a message and a story to tell, and you want to feature on the podcast, feel free to reach out. Like if you've got an interesting story and you want to spread the word, spread the story. Sorry, that's it. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it could just be a simple 10-minute one that you want to do with an announcement. If you've got something you want to announce, an MMA show, jiu-jitsu show, any brands that you're bringing out. Like it could be a music album dropping. Like it doesn't just need to be martial arts based. Get in touch, guys.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you to our sponsors. And we'll see you next week.
Nice one, guys.